She came all the way from Mumbai. She's representing DCF Ventures as Chief Executive Officer. She came all the way from Mumbai, especially to attend our program and address our students. It's really an honor and opportunity for us. So, without taking much of the time, I invite the guests onto the dais. First, I would like to invite our beloved principal, Dr. M. Ramesh Garu, to come and occupy the chair on dais. Sir. Next, I would like to invite our director, Vemur Babu Rao Garu, to come and occupy the chair on dais. Welcome, sir. Now, I would like to invite Sri J.V. Murthy Garu to come and occupy the chair on dais. Welcome, sir. Now, it's my turn Garu to come and occupy the chair on dais. And now, it's my honor to invite today's chief guest and our beloved guest speaker, Sri Lakshmi Potluri Garu, to come and occupy the chair on dais. Now I hand over the proceedings to President of the function, Dr. M. Ramesh Garu. Sir, please.
Prayer sung by Jitendra Kumar.
వక్రతుండ మహాకాయ కోటి సూర్య సమప్రభ నిర్విఘ్నం కురు మే దేవ సర్వకార్యేషు సర్వదా లంబోదరం మహావీర్యం నాగయజ్ఞోపవీత శోభితం అర్ధచంద్రధరం దేవం విఘ్నవ్యోహం వినాశనం.
Respected guests, chief guest of today's event, Lakshmi Potluri, and another guest of today's event, Professor J.V. Murthy Garu, another administrators from the college side, Director Sri Babu Rao Garu, Dean Professor Rajesh Chaudhary Garu, and other faculty members of the dais, and all the students. Good morning to all of you. Indeed, it's a great day for all of us to have this type of eminent personalities on the dais. We have kindly consented, accepted our invitation to address you all. You can take it as an advantage and you can come out with a fruitful result also. I hope all of you are having different types of ideas But question mark, so too many students. People to guide you, to put you in a right track. They guide you to venture into the various types of the startups or incubations, whatever they are, or other types of business also. So I hope all of you are having different types of ideas. But the thing is, you want to become a good employee in a Cognizant or TCS company or other type of the companies or ICICI Bank or HDFC Bank like this. Instead of become an employee, try to become an employer. If you are an employer, you can provide employment to a number of people, number of students or number of people. It will be great satisfaction to all of you. So try to become an employer first. For that, you should have the clear ideas, what type of business you have to start and how to start it, where to start it, this type of question marks may arise. So we can clear all the doubts with the panel discussion or so talk on the so-called startups and incubation by Lakshmi Garu, another panel discussion with the Murthy Garu and Lakshmi Garu. You can clear all those dates. So I, all of you know very well, we have started SI Space a long back, some 3 years back almost we started with a collaboration of Startup Squid and Andhra Pradesh Incubation Society. And we have conducted some orientation classes to the students who are coming up with some innovative ideas. And of them, made them realize and later this type of all these type of things are going on at present also in the college. In the last 2 academic years also, some number of startups were made by the analytics students, business students, MBA students, and even MCA students also. They started so many startups. So this type of the uh, ideas we should have, and we should inculcate all these things in a right way. And these things, if you come up with certain type of ideas, we, the people, definitely guide you all in a right way. You can take up or you can realize them or make them realize in a real world. So I in this occasion, I thank you very much, madam, for coming over here right away from the Mumbai and addressing our students and inspiring our students is more important. Our students are having so many ideas, but how to come up with these ideas, it is a question mark for all of our students. To some extent, we are guiding them. Our staff members are guiding them, but the people like you can inspire more than the staff members. I think, as you have ventured into the number of businesses, just like Japan, or now presently you are CEO of the uh, DL Ventures like this. Definitely, you can your ideas or your suggestions help our students in a better way. I hope so. I know, anyhow, I am thankful once again on behalf of the management, on behalf of the staff members, on behalf of the students. I am very much thankful to you for coming over here. Thank you very much. Now I request. Now I request Director Babu Rao to speak a few words.
Respected dignitaries on the days, student friends, very good morning to all of you. Definitely, I can say, and this is another leaf in the annals of PB Siddhartha College of Arts and Science. For any students in a 3-year life on the campus, particularly with respect to and PG students and 2-year life and on the campus, memorable days. How to cherish that? And only with your exposure. You can take your academics anywhere and from Andhra Pradesh and from anywhere in the college. But this college should be the different. And how is it will be the different? This is only by making you and exposing you to the other world. So how is it possible? And whenever and you are exposed to the eminent people like this, there are only three eyes ruling the world: industry, incubations, innovations. And there are the three very important words, and one should learn, particularly as in the student career. And that is how we are planning it in this college, and to give all the exposure, needed exposure, and to the students. This is and one way and to make use of this event and best way to do, and that is only in your hands. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you, Baburaru. Now I request Professor Rajesh C. Jampala to speak a few words.
Good morning, everybody. So, how many of you know Jabal? Jabal. How many of you know Mitra? Oh, so anyway, we are very fortunate to have with us the co-founder of Jabal. It was one of the greatest initiatives in the field of startups. As India, you are aware, is the third largest country producing unicorns. Unicorn will be a company of 1 billion valuation. A startup becoming a unicorn itself is a great testimony for the entrepreneurial spirit of the promoters and the ecosystem provided for the entrepreneurs. So we believe this particular occasion will kindle the spirit of entrepreneurship amongst you. And you aware, recently in the last 1 year, India has produced more than 50 unicorns. And most of the startups are in higher valuations. Even some of the promoters in other countries, in USA actually listed recently in the IT field, and that company has got 9 times valuation for its IPO. That means Indians are making the waves. Japan was sold at a price of $70 million. It's not a small money. Flipkart has acquired it and converted it into Mitra. And she was given a big clap. Not only that, she is from our district, Gurgaon. So you have to respect the daughter from this particular place. Change the nation, as our Infosys Nandan Nilankini has written a book, Ideation. Ideas will change the nation. You speak ideas, discuss ideas whenever you are having a spare time. Don't chit chat. Don't spend unnecessarily wasting your time with social media. But whenever you find some time, have great connections with people like Lakshmi and try to discuss ideas. Ideas will change your future. I hope this particular initiative will create once again that spirit, and I congratulate the madam for her achievements. And I also thank Professor J.V. Murthy garu for facilitating this particular program. I wish this will be a very good, fruitful occasion for all of us.
Thank you, Rajesh garu. Introduction of chief guest.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have great pleasure in introducing one of the most iconic women of India, Lakshmi Paturi. She did her BSc from University of Madras and then went to USA to pursue MS in computer science from University of Texas at El Paso. She worked as a senior consultant in IBM for 5 years. She won 5 inventive Awards awarded to the top 1% of the workforce of IBM. She then joined Columbia University and did her MBA Finance, and she was one of the members of the Dean List. She did a summer intern in Merrill Lynch. She worked in Goldman Sachs for a short period and then became an entrepreneur. In 2011, she established Jabong from inception. Jabong boarded 300 plus lifestyle brands, achieved 100% growth week on week in visitors, transactions, and became one of the top 100 websites on online purchases. She was the managing director and co-founder of Jabong. She also functioned as country director, Shopify, chief of staff, and COO for Network 18 Media and Investment Limited. She has been the board observer for Velvet Case. In the early stage, she's the early stage on the startup advisor of privately held CEO of DCF Ventures. In short, Lakshmi Patluri built 4 digital companies from scratch with complete responsibility. Jabong, Driver Scott, Shopify, and DCF Ventures. We are all very fortunate to host this energetic Telugu young lady with us. Ma'am, you don't know Ma'am, you don't know how much inspiration you are to all of us here, and indeed to everyone, every girl here. Ladies and gentlemen, join your hands and welcome Lakshmi Patluri.
What's that? Whatever's comfortable for you. I slides. I think you're not blocking the slides, but
No, but we cannot see that.
okay,
We can operate the slides from here.
perfect. Not yet on, no? It's not yet on. You good? I think this has to go into slide presentation. Full screen. No, full screen. Mere PPT. This is fine. Much better. Yeah, much better. Shall we? Good morning, guys. How's the Josh? After Srija's high energy introduction, thank you, Srija. That was fantastic. I feel so much. I learned today. But it's a pleasure and delight to be here. Thank you so much to entire management of PV Siddhartha College, Arts and Science College, Mr. J.V. Murthigaru for inviting me. Like it was mentioned, I have my roots here in Gudivada. Anyone here from Gudivada? Only one? That too, shy hand. But yeah, I see one or two. So my father is from Eluru, my mother is from Komarolu. Of course, I was born and raised in Chennai. And then, you know, I've traveled, studied in multiple places, and, you know, life has brought me back a full circle. And hopefully, a little bit of, you know, what I share today will be an inspiration. I heard that, you know, all the faculty who spoke were talking about using this, you know, different experiences, different people who come and share. Use that to your advantage to shape your journey. And, you know, hopefully you will have a better experience. I think the previous slide was better. No? Sir. Okay, perfect. So are you startups? How many want to start a company on their own, a business? Maybe by the end of this, maybe there'll be more hands then? Yes? Great. So, ring the bell. 35,000. Yeah, go ahead, go ahead. No problem, go ahead. 35,000 crores. What do you think this number could be? Any guesses? What? Cut here, sorry. Asian investment 35,000 crores. What else? More. Earnings. Market cap, valuation, startups and today everybody talks about valuation. I'll switch between English, Telugu. I hope that's okay. I'm not so fluent in giving speeches in Telugu, but I will try to alternate just for fun. This is the market cap of a company called Swiggy, which all of you are using Swiggy? Yes. And Swiggy is now worth 35,000 crores, 5 billion US dollars approximately. And we talked about unicorns. Today, there are also going to be decacorns, companies that are worth $10 billion. So, Baiju's, a company worth $10 billion and more now. It just changes every 6 months, the valuation is going up. And so, just wanted to kind of, put in perspective 35,000 crores. I'm sure at your age, I didn't even think of 1 crore, but today a lot of startups are thinking about thousands of crores. They're creating value. It is not so much about why it's 35,000 crores. Somebody thinks that they are worth that much. That is why they're able to create these kind of companies. Why is entrepreneurship become a very important part of a student's journey today? It's very important to think about it. uh, Maybe 5 years ago, 8 years ago, I had friends who said, I want to be an entrepreneur, start my own business. I don't think I'll even find a girl who wants to marry me, or vice versa. I'll find, any guy who will be interested in me, girl who will be interested in me, right? But today, if you see in a family, you can see a lot of children, students who say, okay, I want to start my own business after college. Many of them are not thinking, I want to work for somebody. We have the traditional career path, which clearly you guys have not chosen a very traditional career path. So congratulations right away for that. Everybody says, I want to be a doctor, I want to be an engineer. You guys have chosen to break that. You all are going to do something much more different, much better in life. I chose also not to be a doctor or engineer. I am a BSc mathematics student myself. So today you see that a lot of people want to be entrepreneurs. It doesn't have to be right after college. It could be 3 years, 5 years. It could be over the course of your journey, right? There are entrepreneurs at 50 years also. Classic case is Dr. Pratap Reddy, who started Apollo Hospitals at 55. He came back from the US. He started Apollo Hospitals and built a huge business that's creating a lot of impact around the country. So today, entrepreneurship is exciting for very different reasons. We were talking earlier, Vijayawada, or many places in India itself. We talk about Gujarat, Rajasthan also. Entrepreneurship is a part of our blood, right? But today it's a bit more exciting because we are seeing a lot of young, educated people also who want to start a business. Technology has made it so much easier to start a business today. Earlier, capital was a constraint. Families were not supportive. Why startup ఎందుకు వెళ్ళి జాబ్ చేసుకుంటే హాయిగా అయిపోతుంది కదా ఇక్కడ ఇంటికి headache. So these kind of conversations were the norm. Today, even parents are able to understand the difference, are able to support their children. Families are much more understanding of the whole journey. So it is very different now, and there is a lot of different types of support that is available to those who want to start up. It is in the form of incubation centers, it is in the form of funding, it is in the form of loans, and I will just mention a little bit of that. One can talk a lot and for hours on these topics. Obviously, I may use certain terms which may not make full sense to you today. We will have a little bit of a Q&A later, a panel interaction. We may have some opportunity for good questions. But obviously, the internet is also full of information today. YouTube is the world's largest university. To be honest, anything one wants to learn, somebody is able to learn how to play a guitar from YouTube. So there's plenty of information which is not fully available that you will be able to get off the internet. So here you can see India's unicorns, right? And probably every single startup that you're seeing is not more than 8 to 10 years old. In fact, only Flipkart started, it's about 14, 15 years old now. 2007 it started, but almost every one of them is less than 10 years old. And you're talking about thousands and thousands of crores. But remember, after that, there are about 40 to 50 other companies that failed. And that is also okay. It doesn't mean that just because you failed, everything only comes in the form of valuation or being up on this unicorn slide, right? Just starting a company, going through the journey, it teaches you a lot. So don't be afraid that, You will fail or succeed. I think just taking on the journey itself is a success. There are many ways on how one can go into starting a company. Usually in universities like Pure, I heard that the university has startup Saturday. That is a huge opportunity for anyone with an idea to come and take advantage. There are a lot of people, local business experts who are coming and talking, people from outside Vijayawada who are coming and sharing how to go about it. The university has a lot of plans to make, create more opportunities for students with ideas. So when you're a student, you have the world at your fingertips. So many people are eager to support you. Your faculty, they are like the wealth of information. So, but broadly, obviously, you have to identify solving something, a problem which you think many people more than you would look to, use that service, use that product, and ultimately, it's a business. So somebody has to be willing to pay for it. So you can take an existing problem and make it better. You can solve a problem which nobody has chosen to solve. But obviously, again, I can talk a lot about why you should choose A, B, and all that. But bottom line is you need to find a solution for something which people are willing to use and pay for. So that's really what how you will think of start coming up with an idea. So we talk about ideation, and earlier also we heard, instead of wasting time or instead of using time for a variety of things, discuss ideas. Idea creates a nation. Again, this was just spoken now, based off the book. So the more you talk about ideas, your time is better utilized. It will nurture your creative juices, and from these ideas, you will to be very, very good. Let me see if I can, build this idea into something which will be a business. A business is really what we use: startup, entrepreneurship, business. These are all words we will use interchangeably. Startup is today's theme. Today's mantra is the popular word, so we will stick to startup. So when you have an idea, out of 10 ideas, let's say you find one idea which is very exciting to you, you may want to discuss and share the idea with a few people who are more experienced. They could be called mentors, they could be, family members, they could be your faculty, they could be, sometimes you can even reach out to people on LinkedIn. Let's say somebody wants to do something in analytics, right? You could also reach out to a few analytics experts who are available on LinkedIn. But always do a little bit homework. Don't go write one line to a person who you don't know saying, "Hey, I have an idea I want to discuss with you." There are ways to approach mentors. They are always willing to help you if you approach them in a right manner with a good idea. You show sincerity and commitment to what you want to do. But there are many channels. So the important thing is you want to share the idea with a few people whose opinions, whose feedback you would like. At the end of the day, these are opinions and feedback. You still will have to create your own final, call on whether this is an idea that you feel you want to spend 6 months or 1 year out of your immediate time frame to bring this idea into some kind of a prototype. A prototype is like a working model, a proof of concept. If it's a physical product, you can think of it like what you would present in a science exhibition, something which is tangible. If it is a software, you will have to build out that software, a basic one, to see how the whole workflow goes, etc. So you can show somebody and say, "This is how my product will work." Right? So how to start a startup? We are in this make a prototype. Now, once you build a prototype, obviously you want to show the prototype. Like when you had an idea, you talk to 10 people. Same thing when you build a prototype, again, you will talk to 10 people who will have an idea about that particular product. Not just talk to your neighbor and say, "Hey, who has no idea about analytics, who has no idea about that particular product, give me feedback." Those are obviously the wrong people. So you have to carefully choose who will be the 50 people or 100 people whose feedback you want. So possibly these are people who could be your potential customers. So once you have a prototype, you can talk to potential customers. So if you take an example, real life example, since all of you know Swiggy, when Swiggy first built that app, he would have talked to his classmates. Sriharsha went to IIM, for example, so he would have posted on his IIM group saying, "Hey guys, I have this app. It's a demo version. Can you guys try and give me feedback? Would you pay for this service? Would you use this service? If you have any feedback on user experience, share it with me." So this is what we mean by talk to about 100 people when you have a prototype and give me some feedback. Feedback will have multiple objectives. One is about the product, one is about whether they will use this product, one is whether they will pay for this product, and so on, right? So once you get the feedback, if things are very positive, you can then roll out your prototype into a product and launch it in the what we call as market in this case. So as you go through this journey, we talk about startups and funding in the same breath today. Every startup, wants to raise funds. My advice is don't build a company or a startup or don't get into entrepreneurship because you want a 35,000 valuation for your company. Don't get into it because you have to raise funds. The business model cannot be dependent on you getting funds. The funds are usually to help you grow your business. It is not the reason that the foundation of your business or startup idea cannot be fundraising. The reason I'm mentioning and highlighting this is because there are many founders, those with ideas I have interacted with, where they say, you know what, I want to raise funds, I want to get $1 million, and then I will figure out my business, then I will build, then I will do this, then I will quit my job. So the thing is, you don't, if you really believe in it, funds are only going to be a catalyst to achieving your success with your business. They will help you grow from 10 to 100, 100 to 1000, and so on, right? So, of course, but you will need funds. Sometimes you will put your own funds, sometimes you will take from your immediate family, sometimes there is something called friends and family. And I have a slide, I'll show you different types of funding. So, obviously, fundraising is a part of the journey. If you want to have other people with you, typically what you call as a founding team or co-founders, and each term has a different definition, different type of association, what you need from each of your team members, co-founders. There are so many things to think about. We're not going to talk about it in depth today, but you want to find and help people who will believe in the same problem you're solving, help be part of this journey to build this particular solution. So a lot of startups today typically have more than one founder, which they call as co-founders. The idea behind this is, when you have more than one mind thinking about solving the problem, more than one mind that will help grow this business, and so on. And so that's how the journey goes, right? And then you get your first 100 users, you get your 1,000 users, you get your funding slowly. Then, you start growing and building your company. So that's just to give you a flavor of the startup journey. So there are many ways startups also create wealth. They create wealth not just for the founders, they create wealth also for the people who work in these startups. So those who really want to be a part, starting your own business, I highly also encourage you to do internships with startups, work with any startup you get, because the beauty of a startup is you get to do so many different things. It is not going to pigeonhole you only into one role. And for those who like that, not everybody likes it, right? Sometimes accountants like only to be accountants. They don't want to do anything beyond that. So you have to see whether it suits your personality. But the beauty of working in a startup or a fast growing company is you get to try many things, you get to take on different responsibilities. And so it's the most invaluable thing one can do for oneself in their career journey. So I highly encourage you, if you get an opportunity to work for a startup. And so even employees of startups in the form of ESOPs, which you may or may not have heard, but these are stock options, just like you have shares in the public market. For those of you, for any of you trading cryptos and all this, so it's a form of shares that you get for working in a company, and for the investors, right? The last pool is the investor pool. So the successful startups create wealth for multiple stakeholders in the journey. The typical life cycle of a startup, as you can see here, the very early stage is the riskiest stage, when you start with an idea to see whether your idea has merit, whether your idea has legs, whether people will, adopt your product. When Swiggy got its first 100 customers, it was still in the very early stage, in the seed stage of its journey, and early stage, right? And this is where there's the highest risk, where companies shut down. A lot of companies land up shutting down, and they could shut down for many reasons. They could shut down because the founder finds it very hard. It is more demanding and challenging than what he or she thought. Maybe a journey that you have to be willing to iterate. So maybe your first idea was very different, but over time it keeps changing, and you have to be ready to Try five different things before your idea eventually trades. For many of you raised your hands about Mintra. Mintra, when it started, it was a company that actually customizes things for you. So you have a coffee mug with your photo on it. It used to do this personalization and customization of products. And later, they evolved their business after 2 years into a fashion lifestyle portal. And there are many, many startups that have started with Objective One but changed and became something else completely different from what they started from day zero. So, in the first stage that you see, is where you will see a lot of companies that may not be willing to iterate and may fail, may shut shop. And there are times when people come back. They have this first experience and they come back again after 2 years and they start and have become very successful also. But this is broadly based on data, saying this is how the journey of a company goes. There are obviously 5 stages listed here. We won't go deep into all of the stages. I think at your stage, the first two are the most applicable, which we call as seed stage and early stage. Again, seed stage, what I said is, when you start your business, usually it is your friends, your family members who are your biggest champions. They are the ones who are going to support you financially or idea wise or in any other form. Use their office. Father lets you use his office for you and your team that's working on an idea. Universities help you with opportunities and so on. So that's where the friends, family, and angel stage comes in. And the next stage is, of course, the early stage where you have a lot of incubators, accelerators, facilitators who will come and support you, build your idea. Many of you may have heard of this word called incubators. Have you? No? Okay, so a couple of hands raised. But essentially, there is something called a startup incubator. A lot of universities are now setting up their in-house startup incubators as well. Incubation, as it's really an English word, which helps anybody coming with an idea build their idea a little bit more before they can go and fly on their own and build that idea into a business. So it's the very first stage of an idea where you want to build your prototype. We talked about. An incubator essentially gives you access to more mentors. So sometimes within your environment, you may not have all of the industry experts. You may not be able to find them. So incubators already have, okay, if I am an incubator helping electric vehicle cars, if you have an idea for a powerful battery in electric vehicle cars, for example, then I would be able to connect you with somebody who's working on electric vehicle battery technology in the US, in Israel, and you can have a conversation with them. You can get their feedback, you can get their support, guidance, etc. Think of it like a faculty member who's also from the industry and able to give you a different perspective to complement the kind of resources you already have. So usually they happen to be people from current industry experience. These are called mentors. So incubators have mentors who are part of empaneled, and they give you help with small funding. So there is something called Y Combinator. It's one of the world's largest incubation, very popular incubation entity. So companies like Dropbox, Airbnb. Have you guys heard of Airbnb? Yeah, so Airbnb came out of Y Combinator. Think of it like the place where it helps you build off your idea, giving you many resources to further bring your idea from your head into a real prototype. That's really what the role of an incubator is. And they do this in different ways depending on the stage of your idea. You can even get access to funding. And as you can see, in the early stage, the need for mentoring is much higher. So at in your journey, probably is when you need most mentoring. Once your business is a little bit more stable, you will not need access to incubators, mentors. You will need a little bit, but not so much as you will need in the early stage. So these are all the services. You may not be able to see the slides at the very end, but I've already mentioned most of the key areas. They have several partnerships as well. Just like you have faculty access, they will have different types of industry partnerships. Certain companies who are willing to try your product as well. So they'll have certain corporate relationships where once you build this particular tool or a product, they can help you implement it. If it's a finance based product, they will have an alliance or a tie up with a bank, and you can try your product in the bank in a small way. And if it's successful, then the bank will start buying your product, buying your solution. They will also, you can also recommend it to other banks and so on. So that's how it is. They provide, some of them provide you a little office space if you need. Of course, in today's pandemic world, office space is not very critical, but that was one thing which was also provided as part of incubators. The journey of a startup, like I mentioned, there will be a lot of ups and downs. That that's a journey. You really believe what you're doing. You believe that your product or solution is something that will change people's lives or change the industry, change the business. Then you should probably stick through the journey for sometimes it takes about 2 to 3 years before your business stabilizes, before your startup idea starts taking shape. So you need a lot of patience, you need a lot of persistence and perseverance to really start a company. Today, when we see the headlines of a Swiggy or a Paytm, most of us have not seen the hardships they faced. Even a Paytm founder, Vijay Shekhar Sharma, for the first 5 7 years, there were many days where he could not, pay the salaries for his staff. There were many times he would have been, faced with the option of shutting down the company, but he didn't. And after traversing through all that, difficult times, today, of course, he's one of the most successful startup founder in the country, to be honest. Right? So it is very important to really be mentally strong and to believe in what you're doing. So that's one of the things. So don't give up in your startup journey. Do you guys recognize any of them on this? Yeah, one said Prasad Potluri. Anybody else you recognize? Yeah, Swiggy founder Sriharsha Majeti. Yes, all of them have one thing in common. Yes, Vijayawada. I'm getting audio responses here. I want it from the students. Do you guys recognize all of them are from here? And they have, achieved global, recognition. They have built large companies. The person on the top is Raghu Yarlagadda from Vijayawada. He's built a crypto platform called FalconX. It is valued today at $3.5 billion. Can do the math, and it is almost about 25,000 crores, 20,000 crores. The lady in between, her name is Padma Shri Warrior, but she got her last name changed after she got married, but she's from Vijayawada. She was the former CTO of Cisco, CTO of Motorola, and then now she was the CEO of Neo, which was an electric vehicle company. All of these are people I picked because they all started here, from Vijayawada. Because I have my roots in Chennai also. But I'm already here, so I didn't put my picture, to be honest. Yeah. Do you want to see your 10 years from now? I think you'll be inspiring. Will you be inspiring other students in this room? Is that a yes? Louder, I can't hear. I want to see that. So, yeah, all of them are from Vijayawada. They've achieved different success, different walks of life at different ages. Not very many of them. Raghu, Sriharsha are all young. PVP today, of course, when he achieved his success, he was hardly 32 years old. He had immense success, 32, 33. And of course, I'm sure you recognize this. Which movie is this? Businessman. So are you going to do this? What is going to be your target? What is going to be your target? 1090? Will you go for 12 or will you go for 10? 12. I'm not able to hear. Nobody wants to go for 12. So I want to say don't all have to only start a company today, but you can be an entrepreneur at any place you go. You don't always company, go running, bootstrap and all that. Even in your corporate lives, even when you're working in being an entrepreneur is what? Solving a problem, right? So always look for ways you can problems in a manner which haven't been done before, which improves efficiencies, which innovative, etc. Right? Yes. Okay. Great. So with that, I am going to conclude. I hope to see you guys many more students in your journey. And thank you so much. I also request Mr. Murtigaru now. We will have a little Q&A and interaction.
I'll talk and then come back. Good morning. I don't know what to speak after the exhilarating speech by Lakshmi. In fact, she has captivated the audiences, and then very difficult for models like me to continue the speech and then go further than this. The next topic is a panel discussion on critical reasoning skills and problem solving skills by me and Lakshmi. Before that, I don't know how much have you been inspired by her. The very purpose of getting her is to give you not a big talk or something like that, inspiration. మన ఊరి వాళ్ళని ఎవరైనా ఇక్కడ నిల్చొని మనకి మాట్లాడుతూ మహేష్ బాబుని కూడా చూపిస్తూ మాట్లాడితే మనకి ఎంత ఆనందంగా ఉంటుంది, మనం ఎంత ఇన్స్పైర్ అవుతాం. దట్స్ వాట్ ద ఐడియా ఇస్ ఆల్ అబౌట్. డిస్పైట్ ద ఫ్యాక్ట్ దట్ షీ ఈస్ సిఇఓ, షీ ఈస్ ఆల్ దోస్ థింగ్స్. ఒక సినిమా డైలాగ్ కదా, ఏదో మామూలుగా స్మూత్ గా మాట్లాడుతున్నారు. I don't remember the dialogue, but she's like that. She has got a lot of Telugu-ness. I travel with her a lot. She still likes Pesach Upmas of this world. She still likes the filter coffees of South India. All those things are on. So, guys, I wanted you to be more, enthusiastic and more shouting and then more. విజయవాడ అంటేనే అరుపులు కేకలు కాళ్ళు ఉండాలి. మీరే ఇట్లాగా ఏదో వైజాగ్ వాళ్ళ ఉంటే ఎలా, నాకు వైజాగ్ యాక్చువల్లీ మా ఊరు వాళ్ళ ఉంటే ఎలా, మీరందరూ విజయవాడ is విజయవాడ. ఇట్ హస్ గాట్ ఎ డిఫరెంట్ యునో. ఐ వాస్ టెలింగ్ హర్, షీ ఆస్క్డ్ హూ ఆర్ విఆర్ సిద్ధార్థ నుంచి బాగా ఫేమస్ ఎవరున్నారండి సిద్ధార్థ గ్రూప్ నుంచి అంటే, చాలా మంది చాలా పైకి వెళ్ళిపోవచ్చు, బట్ కాల్ చేసి ఫేమస్ అయిన వాడు ఒకడే ఉన్నాడు, రామ్ గోపాల్ వర్మ అని చెప్పాను. మిగతా వాళ్ళు ఎంతైనా ఫేమస్ అవ్వచ్చు, బట్ ద వే హి స్పీక్స్ ఎవ్రీబడీ లుక్స్ ఎట్ హిమ్. అందరూ ఆవిడ మాట్లాడింది అనుకోండి, మనం జాగ్రత్తగా చూస్తాం. ఆయన మాట్లాడితే భయంతో చూస్తాడు, నన్నే ఉంటాడు బాబు అని చెప్పి. సో the entrepreneurship is in the DNA of this district, probably the Krishna water, that gives that entrepreneurship in the DNA of the people. Actually, entrepreneurs are from here. A lot of them are there, not just here in US also. A lot of people who have gone to become entrepreneurs. And right after your graduation, you should take time probably. Maybe a lot of people have not raised their hands because they have plans. I can see a lot of girls already సంబంధాలు చూస్తున్నారేమో ఇంట్లో, నాకు వేరే ప్లాన్స్ ఉన్నాయండి, నాకు ఎంటర్ప్రెన్యూర్షిప్ వద్దనుకుంటున్నారేమో. That's not the idea. Entrepreneurship can be done later, much later. I will talk to you. Maybe, we have entered into an MOU with your college. You will see me very often and then talking to you. But today, let us get back to our chief guest and then talk to her about. We thought that we would do a panel discussion instead. We would like to have questions from the students on whatever topic you want, so that she can talk more and I can talk less. Any questions from anyone to begin with? Any questions? Anybody who has some ideas, who wants to talk, who wants a question? Yes, ma'am. Take a mic.
Thank you.
And they're taking a photo. Remove that mask for a minute. Great. Now we know you are.
My question is how to pitch our idea to investors. So I have a prototype and I have the idea and I implemented and successfully made a prototype. Now, how exactly to pitch an idea to the investor? How to approach? How to know there are investors in the market? Like how?
What's your name?
Manisha.
Manisha. Great question, Manisha. So basically, how to pitch to an investor? There's plenty of tools, techniques even available online. But like I mentioned, the key is know what problem you're solving, right? Like if you are solving a problem, you need to be able to explain why this solution is better than anything else that the market has. When Swiggy came, there was nobody delivering. Zomato was there, but Zomato was not being able to deliver food from a restaurant to your home, right? There were other ways that was happening. You could call the restaurant, you could do many things. But he said, you know what, I'm going to make this easy for people to, order food wherever they are and have it delivered at your fingertips. So that is where he was able to explain why Swiggy is better than any other option for a customer today in the market. And that is one of the most important things. You need to be able to articulate why your solution is better to the investor, and what problem is it solving for the customer. Your customer can be a company, can be a B2B versus a B2C. And why will your customer be interested in this? Are you cheaper? Are you better efficiency? Are you increasing the efficiency of the organization by using your solution? Are you making people's lives easier? So those are the kind of answers you need to be clear about. The second most important thing is, maybe not second, almost equally important, is that there are a lot of people, which I mean by market opportunity. There is a large market that is looking to buy your product. So look at the phone, right? Apple said, I'm going to change the way the world uses the phone. We used to have those keypads, we used to have Blackberry, we used to have those foldable Motorola's, so many things. Maybe many of you don't even remember some of those phones. Today, touch screen. Smartphone. But somebody came and said, I'm going to bring this and I'm going to change the way people use the phone, and the world is my market. Every single person is going to use this phone, right? So you need to be able to show that there's a huge market, which is called the market opportunity. There are many ways to assess the market opportunity. There are tools online. If you do market opportunity of, what is the market size for iPhone, you will be able to find out. Affluent people, what is the lifestyle they follow. So you'll say, okay, world has, a billion people who will buy an iPhone, for example. So that is, I think, very critical to have that large audience who will buy. It can be companies, it could be individuals. Beyond that you are very passionate about this, that you are going to do, outstanding things with this business, that you are committed to this. If they ask you why are you solving the problem, if you're saying, oh, I just stumbled upon it, I thought I'll give it a try, they'll be like, thanks for giving it a try, good luck, right? So why do you want to solve this problem? Why is it important for you? And will you be really staying in the journey to solve this problem? I think that's very, very important. As a founder, why did you choose this? And there are many, many things. I think these three, I'll stop with that.
Yeah, I have one more actually. Go ahead. So I have all this calculation now, and how do I know? Like, okay, these are the list of people that I can approach and explain my idea or pitch my idea. For example, I have all this list of things that I have to do. Now, where exactly? For example, this is the college where I can get the admission. So, how do you suggest where do entrepreneur goes and okay, these are the investors that we can approach. How could we find the investors?
Yeah, so usually, if you're a student right now, the university and faculty, they are great guides. They will be one of your first touch points. Second is there's so many resources online. Literally, you Google, you will find. But broadly, if I have to give you an idea, depending on what stage you are in, very early on, when you're in the just the idea stage, or you have 5 customers, 10 customers, what we call is angel funding. Angel funding or is exactly what it means. They will be people you know in your network, your parents, your relatives, maybe friends, fathers. They will be kind of what we call as one type of investors, which we call seed stage or early stage or angel. They are used interchangeably a little bit. There are also certain angel networks. So each city has angel network. I think Hyderabad definitely has Hyderabad angel network. I'm not sure Vijayawada has. There are angel networks in many cities. So when you Google, you will find these angel networks. There is an application process. You will have to fill that application process. The other fantastic network most cities have, and Vijayawada also has, is the Thai network, the entrepreneur network, which is called Thai network. They are a great least to get certain events for you to pitch to investors. So they will invite you if your startup is good. They will have a selection criteria, and they'll invite you when they have what they call as demo day, and you can pitch to investors who been shortlisted for this stage of investing. Apart from that, you can also go to various incubators, which I mentioned briefly. Typically, incubators also, if you, they will also have a selection process, and if you go through the selection process, they will connect you with investors. So at this stage, it's a good idea to be a part of any incubator programs if you haven't already. And I think between these, this will be your first step. If you can't pass the first step, then of course you go into institutional investing, venture capital, and there are a lot of venture capital. If you Google, you'll find like venture capital for different stages. A lot of databases available.
That's it. Anyone else? Okay. I think we'll sit here. Any question? Please raise your hand.
Hello. So I had a basic question to ask. How, like you said, when you start any startup, when you have your prototype, you'll go and have few people where you can get their feedback. So apart from friends or family or closest one, which I know about, is it better to build a community around that product? And how do you exactly build a community around it?
So you don't need to build a community from scratch. There are also several networks like Google Developer Network, Facebook networks. There is a lot of communities depending on what kind of product you are. So if it is a retail, there are so many Facebook groups. You can always go and post about your product, and you can ask for feedback. Likewise, if it's a software, these Google developer groups and Facebook developer groups are there. Then there are your product on that, if it's a software product, and you get people to critique it, people to use it, and early adopters, what we call them, who will be willing to use them on these communities. And you don't need to create a takes a long time. It is extremely cumbersome. But there's plenty of online communities already. You just have to tap into them. Even for product development, there are so many communities. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Then, then ma'am, did Jabong in its early stages had such a feedback session? Like,
Yes. So Jabong, because we differently, we already came with a lot of background and experience in building such businesses. One of our early investors had a very strong foundation in building and scaling such businesses outside India. So we did, have a strong technology team that built the platform. When we also hired, experienced people for the startup, who understood what kind of products the market wanted, because we were in the fashion and lifestyle. So we knew what kind of footwear audience wants, what kind of clothes audience is liking. And we did always encourage customers on, because we're a digital platform, we always took customer feedback very seriously. So we had a call center where we would hear the customer feedback and incorporate that into whether it is changing the products, adding new products, improving our delivery times, improving our service patterns, and even our platform. Some initially we had some issues with the products, in terms of what was displayed was a little different from what went to customers. So multiple things. Always, I mean, listening to a customer is not an option if you want to build any business, and we definitely incorporated that. Thank you.
Any other questions, please? Yeah, the last ma'am. Can you come forward and then take the question? We don't mind spending all the time that we have till 12 o'clock in question and answers. That's even a better thing than doing a panel discussion. Yes, we'll go ahead with that too.
Hello, ma'am. Good morning. When you earlier said ideas matter and you have to discuss your ideas with like-minded people, how do I find myself those like-minded people? I mean, how do I know that these are the people that I should my ideas with?
People around you are your friends. Your friends are not interested.
If they aren't into what I am, then
Got it.
how can I find myself those people?
To her question, there are communities for everything, right? If you're interested in crypto, there are communities for those who are interested in crypto investing. There are when I say communities, it's a group of like-minded people. Today, we live in a pandemic world where everything is digital. So a lot of the digital platforms have groups, have communities. If you go to LinkedIn, there are so many professional groups. Go to Facebook, or if you go to Insta, every social media platform has different communities for everything. Besides that, the hardcore tech companies like Facebook, Google, Microsoft, they all have their own developer networks, developer groups. Then there are industry bodies and industry associations. So you can, I mean, if the digital world is not able to meet your requirements, then I would recommend go into the industry associations, because the industry associations typically have much more mature businesses and their objectives are different. But you would be able to find, if you like to play chess, there is a chess community online, right? So for any hobby, if you have a community, likewise for any idea also, you have an online community. And you just Google, you will find, like I mentioned, most of the social platforms have communities for every single thing. Give me an example of what you're interested in.
That is but I can't find myself like-minded people regarding that startup.
Yeah, so startup in any specific sector?
Yeah, so something related to fitness and stuff.
Fitness. Oh, oh my God, there are so many communities for fitness.
Can you raise your hands? Who are, guys who are interested in found your community here. There are people who are here.
Thank you.
But yeah, there are, even in fitness and startups, there are so many groups: LinkedIn, Insta, every platform you have. You guys are the digital, babies. You should be more teaching us these things. I hope that answers your question.
Once again, just somebody else is ready. India today is everybody has a dream of starting. I want to do a startup immediately. One of the slides that she was showing there, patience is one of the words that she used. You need to have a lot of patience. And in case you have a problem in finding out like-minded people, you have a problem in finding out some people who want to give you some funding, or you want to find funding, wait for another year or two, have your idea, keep on discussing about it. Maybe it's not a bad idea to go out and then have your education, continue your education elsewhere for a year or two, because diversity is key in all these businesses, in all these startups and all. She hasn't started Jabong on day one. Please understand that she has done her BSc, went to USA, she did her MS in computer science and worked for 4 years or 5 years, 5 good years in IBM, an organization where she was among the top 1% of employees year after year and won awards there. And then she went to Columbia University, did her MBA, and then worked for another year in Goldman Sachs, and then started the company. It's not that everything happens overnight. Every startup, successful startup particularly, has a story behind it, and that story belongs to a person who is passionate, absolutely passionate. And unless until you have that passion, it's not very fashionable word nowadays. Startup, unicorn, all these are very, the kind of words in vogue. They become very fashionable, but it's not easy to do that. You must have a lot of patience. You must have a lot of ability to do the background work. Nobody is going to do that for you. You need to do a lot of work. Then you probably come with your idea and then talk to the people who are like-minded. And I also suggest that talk to the people who are not like-minded. They start the business, and then you convince them. That's the best. I've done my own works through my life. Actually, I was on my own for 20 years. I When Viswanath and Manik Daruwala started Time Private Limited, I joined them immediately. So I'm one of the directors of Time, TIME, if you are aware of. I functioned as a director of Time for 20 years. And when he's an IIT, he's from Siddhartha Junior College product. Your college has brought him here, and in fact felicitated him some time back, a long back. When he did his uh, civil engineering from IIT Madras, and he was a gold medalist from that place. And then he topped IIM Ahmedabad. He did not take any job. He worked for a year in Godrej, and then he started a coaching center. People laughed at him. You are an IIT gold medalist, an IIM gold medalist, and you want to start a coaching center. Today, it's a 600 crore company. Just for he didn't believe in digitalizing and all. Therefore, he's still behind Byju's and so on and so forth. But it's a 600 crores plus company. Please understand, things will happen to you in your life. Wait for them to happen. Don't be in a hurry. But don't think that I cannot do it. నీకన్నా ఎవరు తోపు లేడు ఇక్కడ మేడం చెప్పారు ఇందాక నేను చెప్పట్లా అగ్రీ ఆర్ నాట్ అగ్రీ ఎస్ మనమే హీరో నేనే రాజు నేనే మంత్రి నాదే కంపెనీ ఆ లైన్ లో వెళ్ళండి బోల్డ్ కంపెనీలు వస్తాయి చాలా ఉంటాయి అందరికీ రెడీగా ఉండండి టేక్ ద ఆపర్చునిటీస్ కమ్ సెర్చింగ్ ఫర్ యూ ఇందాకలో ఒక క్వశ్చన్ అడిగారు ఆయన లైక్ మైండెడ్ పీపుల్ ఎట్లా పట్టుకోవాలి లేకపోతే మనీషా asked a question, how do you find out investors? Manisha, if you have a great idea, investors will find you. Don't worry about investors. There are too many of them today. There are too many of them. Not one investor, two investors. They will find you. Please sit down. They will find you. There's no. Lakshmi, did you call her? Did you ask her to come here? Things happen in life. Believe in that. So things will happen to you. She may be leaving today, but I'm in Vijayawada. We have an office. You can come to me. I can help you in finding out whatever you question you have asked. We can give you answers for that and help you further grow in your quest, whatever it is. I don't know what's your startup, but whichever it is, there's absolutely no problem. Any other questions? Sure, sure, sir. Sure, sir.
The basic qualities required to become a successful investor or to become a successful certain things which are mandatory, but the youth they try to short circuit it, but which is not going to deliver anything. Like you need to possess something which is truly unique and value, which is going to really such ideas can translate into ventures or big businesses. And those ideas have to be nurtured in true letter. So these are the few things I am aware, but distilling what you have came across in all your life, I would request you to share those distillation, the essence of what you went through to become a successful entrepreneur. Because we are in an era where everybody wants it quick, want it overnight, and don't want to put it in.
Is that true, guys? No, there is, because we are all used to being, in the digital world. Everything happens much faster. You are right. It's a good thing and not a great thing. But if you look at, the way the businesses have been evolving, just to put in context, Flipkart started in 2007, and they got, their biggest growth happened from much later. After 7 years is when their biggest, growth started. But today we are seeing so many companies in 3 years, 4 years, they are going on, to grow very fast, raising lots of funds, lots of money, going international. So the whole cycle of business growth in the new age business that we see has changed. Things are happening fast, innovation is happening faster. Pandemic has only accelerated everything. What the digital adoption that people expected will happen in 5 years has happened in the last 1 year. We have seen that in fintech has completely, you want yeah. So fintech adoption has been incredible. E-commerce adoption has been forced, but now today we see even grandmothers are people who are 65, 70, who have not embraced it, not because there was no need. चल रहा है, अच्छा ही हो रहा है, down the street उसको phone लगाओ आ जाता है. So everything was happening, but pandemic has forced all of us to change, and we've seen the adoption of digital revolution. So I don't know. You are right that there is a little bit of impatience also in the youth uh, for quick results, for fast outcomes. Uh, but I think to your point, and Mr. Murtigaru just classic example he gave was of mine. But I'm obviously a different generation. But most of us don't see the difficult part that every entrepreneur, all the success stories we had on the slides also. Everybody has gone through. Mr. Prasad Potluri, his visa was rejected 5 or 6 times to the US. But his success happened when he became an entrepreneur in the US. He landed up going to Australia and then went to US. And there are stories like this for everybody, right? But the thing, unfortunately, is we don't talk about failures as a country, as a family, academic institutions. Fail ayava, forget him, go out of the school, dismiss. I mean, this has happened all over, not because of academic, right? From school, LKG nunchi, it's like that only. The parents punish you if you get a bad grade. School reprimands you, college reprimands. Why so much? Friends itself, don't want to be friends if you're not studying. Then they all become one group. Oh, this is a failure group, first rankers group. అలా అన్ని చోట్ల ఉన్నాయి. So we don't celebrate failure. That is, I think, my biggest takeaway from the whole ecosystem, not particularly from institution or otherwise. At home, we must celebrate failure. We must encourage people to try new things, encourage failure, talk about all of this very openly amongst friends, amongst families, amongst, maybe tomorrow there will be a speaker who will talk about only his failures. Maybe he has not achieved anything. But the fact that he's able to try 5 things, had failed so many, and still able to face the world, still able to, live, and provide for himself or herself or his family. I think that itself is a success. The fact that they tried so many times and failed is a success for me. So I think one biggest takeaway is that I think all of us need to talk more about failures, celebrate failures, take pride in failures, and support each other more. Even if they fail, how can we help them? I've seen some communities are incredible also in providing that little support for people around them. They teach them the skills. They are not afraid. If I teach somebody, he or she will nakanna mundukelpotaru, and they won't hold them back. They are happy to share, happy to teach. If his journey takes him, 10 steps ahead, so be it. It's his hard work, his vision that is taking him. So the second thing I think is, for us to be more sharing. And I think today there was a time success of YouTube is because it has encouraged sharing. There's a famous Khan Academy, which being academicians, or most of you might be aware. The success of Khan Academy is because he put all his knowledge out there. He encouraged people to share. And YouTube is all about sharing skills, and people are making money by sharing knowledge today. Earlier, your USP is the more knowledge I keep to myself, I become invaluable. I become, nobody can displace me. So people kept knowledge to themselves. Today, sharing is the most powerful thing. You become an influencer. You are seen as a subject matter expert. And so I think share knowledge and also help each other out without being insecure. Some of that will take time and maturity to be less insecure, and that will come with your own time. But I think that's important. Patience, we've talked about it a little bit. The journey of whether to be, you mentioned investor and entrepreneur, slightly different requirements. But I'll talk about as an entrepreneur, most important thing is patience, and it is and ability to face rejection. The Skype, before, of course, today WhatsApp is so big. But Skype founder, he must have knocked on 100 investors' doors, to your point, Manisha. And Skype was one of the most successful startups about 20 years ago. But when Skype was founded, they did not get any funding. They knocked literally on 100 doors. And the last one eventually gave them that funding that helped them, continue their journey. So the ability to face rejection is another important thing that is very crucial, not only for an entrepreneur for success in our lives. Uh, you see this in a lot of high profile careers, like especially movies. They face rejection all the time. And when they go for auditioning, when they go in the early journey, especially actresses, or actors who don't come from backgrounds of movie industry, they have must have faced so many rejections before they became celebrities today. Even sports people, right? Like every time they have to perform, every day they have to perform, and one day that guy, that cricketer doesn't score a sixer, or doesn't score a century, the whole media goes after him, right? Like he is not performed that game. That 99 games don't matter, that one game that he has not performed, the entire media goes. So I think facing rejection and making helping that make you stronger is what has created success for individuals. And the same success will help you also be a successful entrepreneur, because even as an entrepreneur you are going to get 100 investors who will tell no to your idea. Like he said, talk to your critics, talk to the people who don't want to be a part of your startup, because they will also give you a lot of ideas. You have to use that to feed and make yourself stronger, make your idea stronger, make yourself stronger. And likewise you will face a lot of rejection from your clients. In India especially, it's a bit more, because now it's getting better and it will continue getting better, but still, a lot of corporates won't quickly try to work with a startup. They will want to work with a more established company, because they're afraid if you're not strong, then if they try your product, then they will have a bad product, or they will get yelled at by their bosses. So they're very afraid to a large extent. So you will face a lot of rejection even from customers. But if you take that rejection and handle it and take it positive, you look at what is the learning, what is the lesson you must take away from that rejection. If he or she is saying, I don't want your product, you can ask them, like, what can I do to my product to make sure that when I come back, that you will accept my product, or you will want to at least try my product. So you ask them that one follow up question. So that's the other one, rejection, ability to face rejection. And the last one I would say is, don't let everybody or anybody around you to pull you down. Don't let people influence you. See, there is a little bit of a fine line between taking advice, absorbing information, and taking what is going to help you build on what you believe, what is your passion. But at the same time, don't let it influence you that it is going to, depress you or abandon your idea. If you are truly passionate about you, take the people's advice around you. You have to be selective, and you will have to start becoming a little bit more, developing what I call as intelligence, to know how to differentiate your well wishers, people who are giving you the right advice. Even well wishers sometimes don't give you the right advice. I mean, the best example is always parents, right? There cannot be a better parent than us, because they are our parents, but they may not always have the best advice for us, because what our dreams are, what you understand about maybe analytics or crypto, my father, mother will never understand a cryptocurrency. So they are our well wishers, but you need to understand, what input I need from my parent, what input I need from my mentor, what I need from, mentor industry experts. So the intelligence to differentiate and be able to separate advice and take the right advice is something you have to develop. And I highly encourage all of you to develop a practice, any practice of meditation or fitness, because there were only 3 people here in this room who said they liked the idea of being fit or fitness. Any form of exercise, meditation will build your resilience. What you take to do in 3 hours, if you start meditation as a habit in this young age, suddenly in your life you will find things magically happen. And it is not because it's a miracle, because meditation builds clarity of thought. Today you will say, should I go left, should I go right, should I choose this course, should I choose that course? Natural decisions that will happen. But as you start practicing fitness or meditation, both will start giving you so much clarity of thought. Even running, we call runners healthy, because they have a lot of studies, science behind being fit. Physical fitness is also going to ensure you're mentally fit, and when you're mentally fit, the way your mind functions is going to be 10x better than anybody around you. And maybe everybody around you is fit, all of you are going to fit, and that is only going to be good for everybody. So make sure that you all focus on some activity to ensure you're physically active, physically fit. and practice any form of meditation. Meditation, there are so many things. It's not like you have to close your mind and keep yourself blank. That's not. Even listening to music can be meditative. Singing can be meditative. So you choose what is meditation for you, but ensure that you do something that keeps your clarity of thought at its optimum. I think these are my few suggestions for being successful as an entrepreneur, being successful in life and career.
Any other questions? Yeah, please.
Hello, ma'am. You're really, you're really such an inspiring woman, ma'am. Like literally, your speech while you're speaking, I had goosebumps. What made you start? What made you start Japan? What was the idea? Did you have any real life experience which led to starting of Jabang? Jabang? That's
Sure.
my question.
I'm just joking. Her boss scolded her one day. She didn't want to work with anybody else, and she started her own company.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Uh, I wanted to, it's a good question. Essentially, I had been living in the US, and I would come down, every year for during Christmas holidays and, to spend time here with my family. Having lived in the US, this was probably a time you guys may not be able to relate so much. It's 15 years back. India is a little different than what the India you're seeing today. Today, you can go online to Mintra, you will see thousands of clothes, thousands of shoes. At that point, US or many Western economies have so many options as a shopper. So whether it's clothes, whether it is shoes, I could, order and find so many options, variety. There was particularly a company called Zappos in the US. Zappos was acquired by Amazon in 2007 for $1 billion. And this company was my inspiration. Zappos also was a fashion and lifestyle website slash portal, and they were extraordinary for their customer service. There was a question about, did you take customer feedback? So this was a company that had, broken all existing ways of handling customers. So they introduced the first time, I think in US as well, no questions asked. Anytime in a year, within a year of you buying a product, you could return it. No questions asked. So a lot of small things, customer service was far, far superior in India than it is even today. I think our customer service for, whether we go to physical stores, whether we go to online stores, it's a little better online. We are still lagging behind. And so I wanted to bring to the Indian customer the same kind of experience I had in the US. And that was my biggest motivation, whether it was in the form of variety, whether it was in the form of customer service, whether it was in the form of customer experience. And that is what I always liked retail largely as a business. I felt like I could understand consumers and consumer requirements, consumer behavior a lot more. It was intuitive, it was very natural for me. I gravitated to it like somebody gravitates towards music or dance. For me, I just loved any business that had a retail element to it. And so e-commerce at that time seemed like the best balance for me to marry my interest as well as what I perceived as something I wanted to bring to India for the benefit of the Indian consumer and Indian customer. So that was my motivation to start Jabong.
Hello, madam. So, what is the story behind the name Jabang? I mean, how did you come?
You guys haven't even heard of Jabong, but you're asking so many Jabong questions. But no, it's a good question. In fact, Jabong is actually a tropical fruit from South America. It looks like an orange. It's very vibrant. It's refreshing, and that was the thought process behind, Jabong. We wanted to be a very refreshing solution for customers in fashion, and so that's how we did. We debated quite a bit. We had so many options, so many names, and eventually we felt this resonated most with what we wanted to bring to Indian consumer. And at that point, it was meant to, break all the monotony and refresh people.
Any other question, please? Nobody?
Go ahead.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We wanted to do a panel discussion on critical reasoning skills and problem solving skills, but I think time isn't sufficient for that. We don't want to enter into the discussion. We thought that this is a much better utilization of time of Lakshmi Kotluri. She has come all the way from Bombay, and we thought that some of this youth is impatient. I don't think I will fully agree with him. First of all, you want to clap, clap. I don't have any objection for that. I don't fully agree with him. I never said that I don't agree with him. Please understand. Uh, See, one thing what I like about the youth is they're just not afraid of anybody. They just go forward and they do whatever they want. They don't care for the others. But that's a good sign in itself. It's a bad sign in itself, both. You know, I think the responsibility is on the parents and the teachers and people like me to encourage them in what they do. Whether they fail, whether they succeed, doesn't make a difference. If they're trying, as long as they're trying to do something good, I think the encouragement has to come from the society, has to come from the parents, and has to come from the academicians and people like her. So, unless until some people fail, things don't happen just like that. For every company, successful company you see today, there must have been some 10 startups which must have failed. You look at Baizu. I know Baizu personally in 90s when he was taking classes for students of CAT in Bangalore in a hotel. I was doing classes for the same type of CAT people elsewhere. But where is Baizu and where are the others today? He had a vision. He wanted to take things with both hands. He's right from the day one when he was giving coaching classes. He wanted to be online. He wanted to be offline. That time we were heckling at him. Digital classes in India where internet isn't working, where nothing is there, where people cannot see you, rural India you cannot reach. All those criticisms that we gave are gone. Today he has the lost love, Baizu. Ravindran Baizu is there actually. He is a wonderful person with a vision. What you all must have is a vision. When we talk about critical reasoning skills, how are they different from your general reasoning? So can I can I take 10 minutes of the time? I would like to play a game with you guys. And whoever wins the game, I'll give you 500 rupees cash prize. Now you'll have more attention than otherwise. Now there is more attention, 500 rupees. I'm talking about it, I'll just give it to Sridhar sir's hand. Nirvana, Niranjan sir, ever geliస్తే వాళ్ళకి No, no, no. Absolutely no way. How many were here yesterday when I did something here, when I did a quiz? How many were you present yesterday? Quite a good number. Some of you were not there, right? Yesterday I was talking about something, communication skills. How do you understand what we are talking about and what is really to be understood? Since so many people are not there, I'll do that for a second and then go ahead again. I'll say one, two, three. Some of you were there yesterday, right? So you will not be deceived now, but the others will be. Watch the fun. I'll say one, two, three. The moment I say three, you need to clap. Is that clear to all the students? Please do it immediately. Don't waste any time. One, two. Three Allah. The three Allah. The first thing you need to understand is communication skills. Not you are talking, but your ability to listen and understand what others are talking and grasp it 100%. 100%. If you don't get that, you think that you understood, but you're looking at me. I clearly told you. The moment I see three, you clap. What are you doing? The moment I clap, you're clapping. Okay, so let's understand that there are a lot of things that we think that we understand, but we only perceive. There is a big difference between perception and comprehension. Comprehension is understanding from all points of view. Perception is just, I think I understand. అర్థమైందా, అర్థమైనట్టే ఉంది, ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయగలవా అంత అర్థం అవ్వలేదు. చాలా తేడా ఉంది రెండింటికి. అర్థమైనట్టు ఉండడం, అర్థం అవడం చాలా తేడా ఉంది రెండింటికి. సో ఇఫ్ యూ వాంట్ క్రిటికల్ రీజనింగ్ స్కిల్స్, ఫస్ట్ యూ మస్ట్ హ్యావ్ ఎ క్లారిటీ of whatever the topic is, clarity, understand it, and she was articulating her problems pretty well, Manisha. The way she is articulating her question, she prepared. She knows that Lakshmi Patlori is coming here. I'll hear with some questions. She prepared and came. That preparedness. These are all the critical reasoning skills, nothing more. అక్కడ ఎక్కడి నుంచో పుట్టుకురావు, మనలోనే ఉంటాయి. మనం చూసామా చూడవా, కొంతమంది అబ్జర్వ్ చేస్తారు, కొంతమంది అబ్జర్వ్ చేయరు. I'm going to play a game. Yashwant Verma is here. He is going to play with me to show you how it is played. Take a mic. I'll give you a number. You have to add 1 to 7, whatever it is, and give the number back to me. I give the number back to you, adding 1 to 7, whatever it is. Whoever reaches 100 wins the game. Is that clear? Yashwant, can you play now? Please go. Please go there. Exercise. My number is 3, 7. He has added 4. He can add anything between 1 and 7, not more than 7, not less than 1. His number is 7. My number is 14.
21,
25.
32.
You understood this? We go on right there. Whoever hits 100 first will win the game. And whoever wins with me, any student is going to win with me. Maximum 6 students are allowed because of time paucity. Whoever wants to play, please raise your hand and come forward. I'll play with them. Give the mic to the students.
You don't have to be a top or two to this game, right?
Like, let me to play this game. Your reasoning skills are more important. Anyone else? Manisha, would you start with her? You need a demonstration again? Ashwin, please take the mic. What else we play right up to 100 and stay? Okay, you can stay there. Stay in that. Yeah. Go ahead. Kucha, Manisha.
4,
7,
12,
17,
21,
25,
31,
35,
37,
40,
47,
50,
52,
53,
56,
60,
63,
68,
72,
76,
77,
84,
91,
92,
99.
100.
I can only add up to 7 of 90.
I said 92 and give it to anyone who wants to play with me, and if you say 100, even 500. Yeah, please come. Give a round of applause to that girl. Please come, please come. That red dress girl, she is the first one to put her hand up. Whoever wants to play, all the 5 or 6 of you, please come here. Please come, please come. Now, I think enough of this. You want to play? You also want to play? Please come. Yeah, great. You can start. Excuse me. You can start. You want me to start? I will start. Whichever way you want. Okay. I am going to teach you critical reasoning skills. This is not for fun. This is not for 500. Please. You want to start or you want me to start? What's your name? Take the mic here, no?
Priyansha.
Priyanka, I want to start. 3,
10,
17.
25,
You added 8.
24,
24. 30. 50.
56,
61.
66,
68.
72,
76.
80,
84.
88,
92. Flip.
93.
100. Come here. Well, give a round of applause, please. That is what I'm saying. Encourage failure more than success. ఎవరైనా బాగా ఆడితే వాళ్ళకన్నా బాగా ఆడతానికి వచ్చినట్టు. Very, very important. I think there is a big crowd. Stop with this. Enough of this. Yeah, Manisha.
6.
Her number is 6. My number is 10. 15.
16.
20.
23. 23.
30.
33.
40.
43.
50.
56.
57.
59.
61.
63.
64.
66.
68.
69.
76.
Okay, 79.
84.
89.
92.
Okay, 99.
She said 99. I said 100. Good show. Well done. Is there any ball? Please come. We'll see the boys. My fitness friend has come here. Oh. This. What's your name? Sri. Sri. Good. Now to stop. Yeah, he wants to observe me, my numbers, and then beat me. So let him do that. Camera later on. There. You want to start? I start. 1, 5, 10,
15,
20, 30.
33,
33. 34.
36,
40.
44,
45. 50.
55,
60.
64,
65.
70, 81,
84. కొంతమందికి రీజనింగ్ స్కిల్స్ వచ్చాయి, అర్థమైంది, అయిపోయింది. 84. 91. 92. Yeah. Who is the next in line? Give him a round of applause, please. I start. 1,
8,
10, 19,
23,
30,
34,
40,
47,
50,
53,
54,
57,
61,
65,
70,
73,
76,
80,
84,
80, 92,
84. You can add only 7. Don't play with me. I will play with you actually.
87,
92. I'm not like no just good. వాళ్ళు ఎవరైనా బాగా అర్థమైందా? ఒకసారి రండి అయితే. Those who have completed can go and sit back, right? I start. 5, 19,
21.
25,
32.
35,
32.
45,
47.
52,
56.
57,
60.
61,
65.
68,
72.
76,
80.
84,
87.
92. Now, can somebody decipher this? What's happening? Why I am able to come to 92? Mere 92 చెప్పండి, నా again లాక్కోండి. That is where your reasoning skills are there. What's happening? Observe. understand, get into that. Yeah.
I'll begin, sir. 6,
10.
14,
I like your confidence. I will begin, sir. I'm going to beat you now. 20.
25.
30. Can I see your face? Whom I'm playing with? Great. Okay, if you want to keep it, keep it. Up to you. Yeah.
25.
30.
36.
40.
42.
45.
52.
55.
59.
60.
66.
68.
72.
76. Quick, we don't have much time.
83.
84.
85.
92. Thank you. Last candidate. I'll tell you how to get to 100. Then you can go and play with your brothers and sisters and mother and father and then beat them. Yeah. I start. Take the mic here. What's your name?
Pavani.
Pavani. Pavani. 5,
7.
10,
12.
20, 17,
21.
25,
30.
35,
38.
45,
48.
55,
56.
60,
64.
68,
71.
76,
79.
84,
85.
92. Give it a from. He's giving it back to me again. Thank you for coming here and playing with me. It's nothing. People have understood that the moment I come to 92, I'm winning. Before that, what's the number? Before that? Before that? No. No. You please understand the pattern. 100 minus 8, 92, minus 8, 84, minus 8, 76, minus 8, 68, minus 8, minus 8, then come down, 44, minus 8, 36, 28, 20, 12, 4. Whoever starts with 4 will win because the numbers that they gave you are 1 and 7. 1 plus 7 is 8, which is called a control number. Right? If you add 1, I will add 7. If you add 2, I'll add 6. If you add 3, I'll add 5. I'll ensure that the sum added by you and me is 8 if you're playing correctly. Somebody starting with 4, for example. Whatever you say, I start with 4, I'll win. Why? 4, then my next number is 12, my next number is 20, so on and so forth. I'm going to go win. But if I go to another plane and somebody, in fact, in one college it happened, sir, I will play your game with you. We have to add 1 to 6. You have to reach 100. Whoever wins is going to win. I immediately calculated and I started. The moment I started, he said you're going to win. The reason is, if he's giving me 1 to 6, what did I do? I started with 4. Why did I? My control number is 8. 100 by 8, 8 12s are 96, remainder is 4. Always start with remainder and you are going to add multiples of 8 only from there onwards. Start with 4. If he's giving me 1 to 6, 1 plus 6 is 7. 7 is going to be control number. 100 by 7. 7 14s are 98. You can't do that, I know that. You take a calculator and find out. 7 14s are 98. Go on from there. 2 plus 7, 9 plus 7, 16, so on and so forth. It's not rocket science. Anybody with a little bit of understanding of math, no, your reasoning skills have to be better than what they are. Yesterday also, I was doing some games and some so on and so forth. I think I'm here in Vijayawada. I'm going to come to your college oftentimes. We'll take one full session of critical reasoning skills, maybe a couple of hours, a 3-hour session, and then very, very important for you, the problem solving skills and critical reasoning skills. I don't want to take much time. And thank you all. Those who all played the game, could you please stand up? All of you who have played the game, give them a big round of applause, please. That's a wonderful gesture from you that you come forward and play. చాలా మంది మా రోజులు అనేవాళ్ళు అమ్మాయిలు కొంచెం సిగ్గుపడుతుంటారు, అబ్బాయిలు బాగా యాక్టివ్గా ఉంటారని. ఇక్కడ 6 అమ్మాయిలు ఆడడానికి వస్తే ఒక్క అబ్బాయి వచ్చాడు. ఎవరు సిగ్గుపడుతున్నారు నాకు అర్థం కావట్లేదు మీ కాలేజీలో. She has finally told విజయవాడ. నేను చెప్పాను కదా డిఎన్ఏ. Yeah. What's the time now? We are beyond time. Yeah. We said that we'll close at 12 o'clock. No questions and answers. No further questions to either her about your education, your continuation of education. For the next 10 minutes, any question will be answered by her. Or by questions for her, please shoot now. You will not get another opportunity. Yes, sir?
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of all the students here and all the professors, dignitaries, I have one question for you, ma'am. This is we've met a lot, and I understand a lot about you. I respect. I take a lot of inspiration from it, and every one of you, especially girls, right? We are among very few people in the country who actually believe that girls need financial independence, right? A lot of students, final year students here, um, a lot of students are still in doubt, right? Most of them they have different paths. They can take different paths after your graduation, correct? You can get into a job. You can take post graduation in your own stream. You can do an MBA or a PhD, and then or you can fly abroad for education. I'm pretty sure you had a phase like this in your life as well. And how did you go ahead and do what you've done? And any suggestions that they could get, any particular skill set they could excel in one particular field or another?
From an academic perspective?
Yes. And what do they, I mean, any doubts, students who's actually having the same doubt, what do you want to do and after post graduation, after graduation? Raise your hands.
What to do after graduation, or whether to study more after the undergrad?
Yeah, on behalf of all of them. Then.
Yes, ma'am. This is a question actually every youngster gets in mind. Like, even though we chose BBA now, but there are multiple ways we can go where there are the future dimensions are giving us many opportunities, and there are many ways we can become successful. Like now, people saw you. Some of them will think, yeah, I think I can do a startup. So many people get ideas. So what is the way we can select the best for us? Like we can do self research and all, but is there a proper way of going through it?
Yeah, so there are two, three questions here. One is, how do we identify, what's the next step if we are confused? Second is, I think what her question, Kushbu's question is there a structured approach to helping us figure out, what will be the right path? So there are a couple of you may also, because you're working with so many students on a day-to-day basis, and you have been, I think, mentoring thousands of students over the many years. You have one resource here. I think if you are in that inflection point or any kind of guidance, I know that Murtigaru, for example, will be a fantastic resource. But apart from that, um, from a structured resource, I'll take that first. There are a lot of tests online, mind mapping tests, which will help you identify your strengths and weaknesses. When I was in college, of course, and you had asked, have I also faced this kind of dilemma? Of course, all of us have faced these kind of dilemmas. But I don't think when I was in college I had the luxury. When I went abroad, I did, but at that point in India, I did not have the luxury of a career counselor or even today there are a lot of colleges that have their own in-house career counseling teams, departments, who will be one point of contact where the university may already have these kind of tests. Like for example, Myers-Briggs is a particular test. It will ask you a whole extensive list of questions, and it will help you identify. These are, tests that have had a lot of science and research that has gone into it, and it will give you a report at the end of that test. Probably cost $20, $30. It'll help you identify your strengths, your areas of improvement. There is no such thing in my dictionary as a weakness. It is just an area that you can choose to improve, or you don't need to improve also. You can simply work on your strengths in life, right? This whole idea of improve your weaknesses is overrated in my view. It's my personal opinion, of course. So there are one in a structured manner. If your college or city has professional counseling options, typically, and there are also a lot of counseling sessions outside the city. Today, you are not restricted only to options within your city. People who work very closely understand, help you go through some of these tests like Myers-Briggs, which will give you a structured report. Then they will also ask a lot of questions from you, and the counselors are experienced to process this information and suggest a few options with from a structured perspective. That is the most ideal way. In terms of your own doubts about what to pursue, how to pursue, there's no one size fits all. But the way I went about it for myself was, I graduated. Even when I did BSc Maths, to be honest, it wasn't something that I really chose. It just happened. I was a little late in my admission process, to be honest. I was waiting for colleges to call me. I applied to three colleges randomly. I wanted to do at that point, I just applied and I didn't get admission from any college. Then I finally landed up, getting BSc Maths, and I took it, right? So it was a bit without any passion for that subject because I wanted a BSc at that time. When I graduated, also, I look mostly from a job market perspective to a large extent. I mean, I'm a 21-year-old, similar to what you guys will be graduating, right? At that point, in my ecosystem, of course, I also started a business, small business even then. But I wanted to get like, a nice job in the immediate term. It was nice to be an entrepreneur, but I wanted a little bit of experience and I wanted some financial security. Those were my reasons. And so when I looked at the job market, I didn't see anything really meaningful for a BSc graduate for myself. There were so many jobs like sales executive jobs, working in any bank as a salesperson, or, maybe today you can go to West Side and be a customer service representative or something slightly fancier. But they are not going to satisfy my requirements and my desire, what I wanted for myself personally and professionally. I was always that particular choice of industry or profession or career. If I worked at a corporate, I wanted to be among the top of that particular corporate professional network. So that was my clear motivation. And at that point, this was in 2000. A lot of computers were kind of changing how things worked. I was very enamored by computers. I really wanted to understand deeper about computers. Computer science was there as MCA, Master of Computer Applications. And then I had the choice of looking at the US education. And, I had always been in Chennai, went to, girls' school, girls' college, never left home. So I wanted that exposure outside my hometown. And I think that's incredible experience. It could even be, maybe I could have gone from Chennai to Bangalore. I still think being independent, working in a new environment where there are a lot of people who come from other locations, that kind of diversity of students as well as diversity of experiences, living by yourself also taught me in so many lessons. It taught me a lot about responsibility, taught me to be accountable, taught me to manage finances, to Yashwant's point. All these lessons, when I look back, were very invaluable to me. And I learned them very early by the choice of I made of going outside my home base, my comfort zone, to pursue a higher degree. And I chose the Department of Information Technology, which were, completely changing the way. Like I was communicating with someone from Chennai to someone from New York on email, which seems like today on WhatsApp we can do. So think of it, something like today you guys are communicating with someone in space. That's absolutely fascinating for your generation, right? So if you get a chance to learn more about space and travel, maybe that's how I felt learning computer science would give me that kind of an opportunity to learn about something very different from what everybody else was doing. And that's how I chose to pursue a computer science master's. I chose to do it in US at that point. I was very fortunate. It wasn't like I would only do it in the US and nowhere else. I tried in India in a few schools, and I also tried in the US. And because I had the option to pursue in the US, I decided to take that because of, like I mentioned, the exposure of pursuing in this case in a new country was exciting to me. I thought that I would learn something very different. And true to that, I think I did learn a lot. So in my case, I did have a little bit of dilemma about what to do next. Should I work? Should I study? In my mind, I had no doubt that studying is going to, be very important. It's a passport to greater success in life on all fronts and all aspects. So that was not something. It was a matter of whether I would do it my first year or as soon as I graduate, or would I wait for 2 years, work for 2 years, and then pursue a higher education. I landed up pursuing 1 year after I worked after my undergrad. And I would actually think there are two, three things as a fresh graduate I would recommend. If you get a chance to intern, even right now, let's say during your college, if your college permits, and there are so many opportunities. I think the college has partnerships with Internshala or Let's Intern. So there must be several opportunities for you to intern let's say you finish your final year exams. There are 3 4 months you can intern before you start your full time job. So internship is one of the best experiences for you to understand different types of jobs, different companies, different cultures, work with a few people, network with people. Don't think of internship as a way to make money. Look at internship as a way to gain experience. So grab that experience to work with good people if you can. And if you like a company, you write directly to some executives in the company on LinkedIn. If you don't have a relationship right now through the university, and that's okay. You can also find your own opportunities. Don't always say, my university, my college only has to do this for me. I think today the university is giving you all the tools to go explore and be a free bird and find your opportunities. I think that's the best foundation they can give you. So don't depend only on the university saying that, I want my university has to give me career placement or job placement. Be more proactive yourself as well. Definitely try to do an internship more than one place if you can. Don't think of an internship as a place that they will pay you. Don't worry about that. Second thing is, in terms of pursuing your higher education, if you can work anywhere full time for a year, I think personally that's very, very valuable because you can change your mind, right? After a year, let's say today you are a BSc commerce graduate. You may want to pursue your CA, may not want to pursue your CA. Work at an accounting firm, work at an EY, or several CA firms are there, and you will know whether you really like it or you don't like it. If you like it, great. You don't even need to sometimes pursue a higher education. But in the chance that you don't like it, you have the option of going back and pursuing an MS in any industry you choose. It is not that a commerce grad cannot go back and do computer science. There's no restrictions, honestly, anymore to pursue streams that you may not have thought about when you were in your undergrad. We see this a lot with engineers, right? Today, every IIT engineer wants to be an MBA. Nobody does anything in engineering anymore. So there's no restriction on what you choose for your next level of education. You can go to chemistry, a chemist can go into business. The world is open today. Like I said, the YouTube is the largest university. So explore and try to find, more passions that you can see yourself for the next 5 years, next 10 years, or next life. I mean, the entire lifetime, nothing better than that. Few are very lucky to find their passion early in life. And even if you have to change it 2 3 times, don't have to stress about it. I think lot of things have changed again. Even parents are, we've seen so many new career professions open up. Today, people are just making their living being a YouTube influencer, Insta influencer, fashion bloggers. These are real professions in a sense that they are giving people income stream, they're giving them fame, they're giving them a career advantage. So this world is at your fingertips. So don't feel restricted today with the degree that you have. Be free and feel free to explore. It's okay to want to explore a few things. It is not confusion. You may have more interests. So pursue a few top three interests and then try to fine tune where you would like to spend the next many years of your life. So that's how I would go about it if you're a little bit in a dilemma. Because there's a structured approach. If you have access to structured approach, that's fantastic. Use that. Try to use internships for some real life experiences based on your interest of career path, and then think about, definitely think about higher education. I think that is very critical to set you apart and build some key skills.
I think that's it for today. We are running out of time. I request the principal sir to take over the session and then continue with the session. Thank you so much.
No, please be yours. It's very refreshing, no? Like fruit jabon. Thanks, man, for making our day today. Uh, I request our principal and director to come on the stage to fill state of chief guest and the chief felicitator, Murthigar. Now I request our principal and director to honor Sri Murthigar. Yeah, on behalf of the BBC Siddhartha College of Arts and Science and Entrepreneurship Cell, I profusely thank Lakshmi Poturi, my Telugu Tamai. She made her mark internationally, and still she is having a lot of journey ahead. She has distilled, as our guest said, a lot of knowledge in a nutshell. Every word is a worth of wisdom. You should emulate such personalities, and it's a great occasion for us in the history of Siddhartha Arts and Science College to fill state such a passionate woman. And in this particular event, I definitely kindles the spirit, as I said in the beginning. and you must take advantage of such opportunities. Whenever an opportunity is given, you should grab with full hands. So, as the speaker said today, we know the successful